name's Zane. I'm a research coordinator. So right now I'm on the clinicaltrials.gov homepage, and this is actually more so where a potential study participant would look up more information about different studies. And if you were trying to log into the system as a researcher, it would be actually really hard to find that login from their homepage. So I typically tend to just search something like clinical trials login on Google. And what you're really looking for is the PRS, which is the Protocol Registration and Results System. So this is where you'll log in as a researcher. You can open any of your studies here and then make edits to them. And you can see here that there's a column that will tell you if you have any errors. And so you can just go in and read what the error is. And it's telling me here that I have one error on study status. And so if I open this protocol selection here, it's going to tell me that I need to make an update. And so on this drop down here, you can update the status. And so you should always be updating the status of your study as it changes. So here we can see that this study is recruiting, and it's still recruiting, so that's what I'm going to leave it as. But as you finish a study, you can, or if you're in data analysis, you can mark it as active but not recruiting here. And so that will change soon once I'm done recruiting participants for this study. If I was trying to find one of my studies, I think the best way to do that is to type in the PI's name rather than typing in keywords or something like that. This is what you would see if you were somebody looking to participate in research or just to read more about the research. And so there's a bunch of completed studies here, and then a couple that have not yet started recruiting but will soon. And so I'm going to click on one that is completed. And this study was for social anxiety disorder. It was looking at group therapy augmented by a study drug called yohimbine. And so you can read all about what this study was about, and then what the aims were, and then there should be some results in here as well. One of the benefits of having your study registered on clinical trials is that you will actually get some exposure there. Like, you will have participants who saw your study on clinical trials, and that's how they knew about it. So it's good to, for sort of advertising purposes, to have your study listed here as well. Yeah, so I like to look and make sure that the status is shown and that it's still recruiting, and so that participants know that this is an active study. And then also you want to make sure that there's, and this is something that you would want to review before submitting a study, but there's no information on here that you wouldn't want a participant to see, though there are certain requirements, such as having your inclusion criteria up. And so you want to make sure that you know what a participant is going to see and what they're not going to see when they're searching for your study. And just making sure that your contact information is up. So for instance, because I'm the research coordinator on this study, I want to make sure that my contact information is on here versus the PI, who doesn't necessarily answer questions about the administrative stuff. So. When you are registering a new study, there are some resources here that tell you a little bit more about how to do that. So for instance, you can go to how to register or how to edit your study. But it is good to sort of look over some of your already registered studies. That way you know exactly sort of what it's going to look like when it's published, and you can sort of use that as a template for filling this out. But fortunately, the registration process is pretty straightforward and user-friendly, and it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to do that. Typically, your study is already submitted and approved by the IRB before you're registering it on clinical trials, and so a lot of the information is going to be copy and paste from the IRB, which is really useful.